All right, good evening, guys. Welcome to another broadcast. Again, my wife and I. Of course, I'm here with my wife. My name is Twitwi. And I'm not always alone.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'm the wife. You're welcome. I'm really happy to be here again this Saturday. In fact, it was as if we should just do it the whole week, but it's just Saturdays. Let's just do it like that for now. So, thanks for joining us, and we hope to have fun together.
All right, guys. So today, you know what we want to talk about already. For those following us on Twitter, on Facebook, and of course Instagram, it's all about domestic abuse, domestic violence, and our main focus will be the effects on children. So, thank you very much for joining us. It's just going to be a 30-minute conversation, and we hope to make it as rich as possible. So, first, we'll start off with I want to believe everyone understands what domestic violence is when we talk about domestic violence. But then, sometimes people think it's all about physical combat most of the time.
Yeah.
But domestic violence includes emotional, to be financial,
Yeah.
physical, sexual, and otherwise. So we'll just be looking at what it is and some of the causes.
Oh, okay. So, we start with domestic violence. So many people believe it's just something between husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend. But to shock you, it's not just them. Domestic violence can involve a brother and a sister, neighbors, what have you, as far as the person is living and breathing and wants to take undue advantage, whether emotionally, physically, even in your religion. As far as the person wants to take advantage of you, it is called domestic violence.
Most commonly, for the purpose of this conversation, we'll dwell more on talking about how this really happened. She just mentioned something already, and it's quite funny that when we talk about that, and someone comes out to say, in an abusive relationship and being abused, one of the things people want to look out for is a physical dent. They want to look out for a spot, a scar on your face, and once that is not there, some people find it difficult to believe that, what you've just said, it's actually the case.
Yeah, true. Because the perception everywhere now is that if you're not being beaten, you are not abused.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there are other types of abuse. There are emotional abuse. In fact, there are a lot of it that so many people are so blind to it that they feel like when you mention emotional abuse and things like that, they will just say, all those ones now in both teams. It doesn't happen in Nigeria. And it really happens. People go into depression every single day because of abuse, be it emotional and otherwise. So the violence and abuse thing is not just you blow me for eye, I have to have a swollen eyes or whatever. It entails a whole lot.
Okay, it's very interesting that we're the one talking about this. Because as she said earlier on already, this is something that it's not just about people in sexual relationship. It's not just about marriage. It can be a relationship between a parent. It can be family and all of the rest.
It can be friends.
So it can be friends. So, yeah. But then, when we talk about some of these things that contribute to domestic violence, being emotional abuse, one will want to wonder, how do I abuse you emotionally? Yeah, because I want to think that, okay, if it's emotional, it means that you are the one dealing with it. So, I want to abuse you emotionally.
Well, for one, for the fact that you have emotions, means that the emotions, just like we humans physically, we're open to a lot of things. So definitely there is a way that the emotion can be abused. There are so many factors around it. There are so many ways. Like there are some little things that happens and people will just wave it aside and forgetting. And one of these things, and people that are really prone to this abuse are mostly people that have gone through similar abuse as a child, growing up maybe in their home or their environment or in their church by trusted people around them, not necessarily their parents anyway. So when you little things like that that happen between you and such person might just bring back memories that the person definitely will not totally forget, because things like that happen during children don't easily forget at a particular age. You talk about 0 to 2, 3, 4, you can still see that they can forget when they grow up.
Yeah.
And not in all cases. Some 4 years old, you see some adults, they'll say, I remember when I was 4 years old, but for some it's kind of hard. But let's look at maybe from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are some things that happen. They might not really remember all of it, but they can just have flashbacks. So such people, most of them which are female, are prone to emotional abuse.
Okay, I like the fact that you just touched on which are female, because before this conversation, there's usually this talk around the gender ratio, who suffers domestic violence or abuse the most. We cannot take away the fact that it affects women the most, but one thing also is that it affects women the most, or women happens to be, or the female gender happens to suffer this the most, does not mean it does not as well affect the male gender. But one of the things...
Yeah, it actually affects the male gender. From what I've gathered, I see that not all cases though, some of the male that it affects happens mostly, not all cases, in the negative way. Those are the boys that grow up to be men that become violent and abusers. So instead of being so vulnerable like the women, in their own aspects, they become so powerful and so how do I even call it?
They want to dominate.
Yeah, domineering and all things like that. They don't just want to give anybody the chance to do anything because of their childhood. No, you can't do that. In their mind, they'll be thinking like, when I was growing up, my daddy didn't take that, so I can't take it. Some people have that mentality, and it's not just a mentality. It started from somewhere. So looking at things like that, you have to go back to the roots, because when you trace it, majority of those people got those traits from somewhere, either from parents or guardian, neighbors, environment, and things like that.
Okay. Well said. I was going to mention something real quick, that yes, you are right to say how people carry on with some of this effect. Definitely, guys, we'll come to talk about the effects on children, and that is going to be a major focus. Okay, so but one thing we want everyone to understand is that we are bringing up this conversation so as we start paying attention to some of these actions, because some people think it's just about them. It ends with me. It doesn't have to. The children, they'll grow up and develop a mind of their own.
Yeah, and they won't even remember.
And they won't remember.
Yeah,
but this is not always the case. So that is why we are bringing up this conversation again. And as couple, we think that it's a conversation we should all have at one point or the other. So just we will take a very short break now, and when we come back, it's going to be a music break for those listening to us on radio. That is on cinnigeria.com/radio. For those watching live you just will play you a little clip, just a breather, and when we come back, we'll start touching on the signs of abusive relationships. Some of the things you get to see and you get to know that, oh, this is what this is about, this is what this is coming to. But also, we also like to establish why people get involved in the abuse in relationship. You know, which is one, it comes down to one thing. It's about the power struggle, control.
Yeah.
So yeah, stay with us. We'll come back to look at that. And do not forget that you can as well drop your message if you're watching online. Let us know. If you're also listening to us on radio, don't worry, we're working towards that so that you'll be able to contribute to the program even while you are listening on radio. So just a quick break, a music break for those listening on radio while we get to play something else. Yeah, we're still trying to marry the two systems so that it becomes one. Okay, there we go, guys. We'll be right back after this break.
I think there is a fundamental misstatement of the issue in the question. We can no longer continue to make policy for ourselves, in our country, in our region, in our continent, on the basis of whatever support the Western world or France or the European Union can give us. It will not work. It has not worked, and it will not work. Our responsibility is to charter a path which is about how we can develop our nations ourselves. It is not right for a country like Ghana, 60 years after independence.
All right, welcome back, guys. We're very sorry. That is not what we wanted to play initially, but yeah, it's still one of those things. Very sorry, guys. But welcome back now. So let's first of all establish again one of the things that leads to domestic violence or abuse, as the case may be. It comes to one thing, and professionals have been able to put this together with what they call the violence way. It's just to let us understand that it is basically about power and control. You know, there are some individuals who derive much pleasure in having subjects. They want people to become their subjects, so submissive. Yeah. So, and that is really one of the reasons. Unlike what people think at times, you know, there are some individuals who think that, the victim of domestic violence always contributes to it. They are one major cause. But study has shown as well that no matter what you do as a victim, it is in most cases not about you. It's about the other person. It's about the abuser, because if of the mindset to have people to want to control all the time, no matter how much of control you yield to them, they'll still want more.
Of course, it's just like a blackmailer.
Yeah.
When he starts collecting money or whatever he's using to blackmail you, it never stops. It just continues. They never stop. So it's just similar. It's just like the same thing.
Okay, so now that we've established that, quickly we'll just touch on the signs. If you can see it's scroll under the screen there, but one of the signs of abusive relationship, some of the things you get to see at times that will make you understand that now where this thing they go with this is when the person is one being possessive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking you explained that.
Seriously?
Yeah.
No, you just do it. Just do it.
Okay, yeah. Being possessive basically is just about the fact that I see you as a property. I own you.
That's very common.
You are a possession. You're like, if I should tell you to, you're just a property to me. You are everything a property should be. A property shouldn't complain about no. So, and being possessive means that they want to determine everything and decide everything you do with your life. Yeah. So that is what possessiveness, that really explains that. Then the second one we'll talk about.
Yeah, it's jealousy. Now, this thing called jealousy, it's, I don't
We're
know, I
all
think,
jealous, right?
Yeah, it has grades. It's to an extent, if it's not that much,
Yeah.
it's healthy to be jealous.
Maybe you should explain what jealousy is.
I have to explain.
Okay, yeah.
Why I said so is if you are concerned about someone's welfare, to an extent you want to know what's going on in the person's life, not to be a bully, but to know, like, if person want waka, you supposed to know how the person they waka. Then there are some kind of jealousy that they will kill you down, whether you are going for positive or negative. Like, that is very dangerous. So these are people that from jealousy you start hearing things like, if you know you love me, you will do this for me. If you know you love me, you will not go out with this friend. I don't like you hanging out with so friends. Gradually they push you out from your friendship, from your friends.
You become isolated.
I swear, you will just be just for them. They just want you to just be there for them, and before you know it, you are depressed, because definitely we're not an island. We need people around us. We need friends, even though some of them, not really all, cannot be trusted and not true friends, but we definitely need people around us. That's why we have social life.
Yeah.
If we do not need that, anything social will not even be part of our well-being and existence. So if you encounter or you see that kind of threat in someone, like he's trying to push you away from everybody he knows that are close to you, and keep you away from things that you do before that is fun to you, that before you guys met or whatever, that is dangerous, because by the time all those things are not around you anymore and he strikes or she strikes, because let me don't just use the he, because
Yeah.
I saw some videos of women.
I thought I had some of those videos together. That is what I used, some of the things I wanted to play, but
The women were so violent. So when it gets to that point, you don't have anyone to run to. It's just you and him. So when it's happening, you don't have anyone to confide in, which is very important when an abuse is taking place, that the person has someone to confide in, and that person that he or she is confiding in will be professional enough or sensible enough not to judge. That is another important thing. Then when you have a jealous spouse that has put you away from everybody, that will be difficult to actually trust someone you don't know.
Okay, as you can see, the other one puts down, but maybe we can't really touch on everything because of time. Yeah, threats. They make threats, and I think that part of the sexual abuse.
I'll kill myself. If you do this, I'll kill myself. Man, that thing is terrible.
Yeah, threats. Like, it's funny at times how some of us have really been through some of these things and we didn't really understand. We didn't even know. Yeah,
some people have gone through it without even knowing that they went through emotional abuse.
Yeah, because for example, you are in a relationship with a guy, and you want to leave, but this threat keeps coming. Like, oh, if you leave me, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
If you leave me, I will take my own life. Not that you are still interested in that relationship, but you're looking for ways.
You are in there for pity.
Yeah.
And some people actually, they're abusers and they are not even aware of it.
Yeah.
So
okay.
It's a two-way thing.
So, sexual violence. Yeah. How do we really explain that? Sexual violence.
Sexual violence. Yeah. I think I'll explain that.
Okay.
Okay. So I see sexual violence as an opposite sex wanting you to do what you do not want to do. Be it that you are married, sexually I mean, be it that you are married or not, that doesn't matter. And be it that you are married to this person, doesn't also give the person right to your body when you don't want to. That is sexual violence to me, yeah.
Okay, I think that best described it. So now, for the part we've been waiting for, which is, of course, the effects of sexual violence on children. This is one thing a lot of people do not really think about during the course. So we'll talk about that now, just in 1 or 15 seconds. So, guys, welcome back. Let's talk about the effects on children. And my wife will be doing so much on this because, we all understand that, the effect of sexual violence on children, we don't feel really, it cannot be overemphasized because most times the children don't even get to know that is what is happening to them, and even adults around them don't even get to know. And some of these signs plays out in education academically when you see the academic performance, So we're going to talk about the short term and the long time, and also how we can help.
Okay, you'll be talking about how we can help.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, that's our daughter behind us. She's probably angry about something. So guys, please just bear with us. Let's just go for a short break and get to know what she wants. Okay, you can't be sorry.
I'm coming, yeah?
Sorry.
Okay.
We'll soon be done. Okay.
So no need for the break, we're back. So the effect on children varies from age. Like, don't be deceived. It can affect even a child of 3 years old, toddlers, it can affect them. You see some children that, at 3 or thereabout, or let's say 4, 5, they shouldn't be weeing, bedwetting. You see them, all of a sudden, they are bedwetting, they can't stop it. They are so drawn to themselves. In school, the teacher will complain that, they don't play, they are always on their own. This child is so withdrawn. This child started sucking his or her thumb. You'll be surprised that it actually affects them in that way. People will be shocked at how this thing just maneuvers itself to bedwetting, finger sucking, and some of these children are so cranky. You won't even know what is their problem. They whine a lot. They sleep less because of that fear at that young age. So you can imagine. Then if we talk about older children to teenagers, it affects a lot. It affects a whole lot. You see some teenagers just being a bully. Some would be so aggressive to each other. While you see some at a very young age, they are doing drugs. All these things are just majorly caused by low self-esteem that has come because of this abuse that they have witnessed, and they don't want to be abused by somebody else. So they use all these things as a cover-up for themselves to look tough. While on the other hand, some are so vulnerable, it affects them that they become so vulnerable, depressed, that they are likely to become the abused in future, because maybe they see their mom or somebody that has been abused when they were younger, always shivering and cannot defend herself, and they just take that position. And you find out that people like that tend to enter into abusive relationship without even identifying it as an abusive relationship. And all over again it starts. It's just like a circle.
Wow, you've really touched so much on that. And one of the things before I really talked about helping children who have really suffered this, they see it happen every time. Maybe I'll just add to one of the things you said. It's a memory thing. The brain, I'm not a professional now, but there is a way the brain replays activities. So some of the things you've seen before, it go play and back. It's just like a playback, So that's how much it gets to affect them growing up and everything. So by the time they see situations or some of the things they've seen before that led to maybe a physical attack on their parents, by the time they are getting close to a similar situation, maybe having a verbal action with someone, so they become defensive because that is what they've seen over the years.
That's why you see some children that are so should I even say they don't even master the beating, because parents too abuse children. You see some children that has been beaten so much, any small thing their parents are whack. Then when they go out, before you do something, you see the child like this, he's blocking. You see the fear in that child that no, this is not just starting now, it has been happening. So I was right through it. I didn't go through it, I was an ajebo.
No, that what? Well, if it's about my mom beats me.
No, I wasn't typically an ajebo, but they don't used to beat me.
No, but me, they beat me. My dad, I think I can count the number of times my dad did, but my mom, I still have some scars from that. So,
my dad stopped my mom from beating his children when my sister was 3 years old. I was still in the womb, so it didn't affect me. They didn't beat me.
No, but that being said, I think on the impact on how much it affects children, I know I'm not a gentle person, but I'm not violent when it comes to physical violence now. Maybe I fit say things to somebody that hurts really deep.
Emotional violence.
Am I emotionally violent? Because that is what it implies. Okay. No. So, but each time I sit down and look at it, it's like I've never seen my dad raise his hand on my mom. Growing up, it's never happened. I never see it happen, and that is how much it affects me as an adult. So I've never seen a reason to want to raise my hand up. I know when it gets to that thing, and I think I've said this repeatedly before, which my wife knows about, is that when it gets to a point when it's beginning too hot, I just want to walk away, because that is maybe over the years the approach I've seen my dad taking, and then it comes back to they have this gentle conversation, and resolve whatever it is. But so what I'm just trying to say is that you have to have this deep conversation with children. That is one of the ways you can make them remove that effect of having go through or seeing their parents fighting and all of those things.
So they will know there are other lives apart from just violence.
Just violence. So, and some of this conversation, it has to do with someone who is experienced, you know, and also that conversation cannot be said to be complete without it happening between the children and their parents as well, because you know, it has to do with the parents explaining to the children as not understanding what they were doing, how wrong it was, having understand why they shouldn't have done that in the first place. So it's a very robust conversation that must happen between the children and parents. I know, and then again, there is need to build that trust for children to see that, okay, these people where they see where they do this thing over the years, they don't change. And not just to say they change, but have a conversation why the change happen. Because if that does not happen, some of them will still go ahead to think that it just is a part of the cycle of life, that we go through this and then we get to a point because we are older now, we have to change because we cannot do these things. So that is why the conversation is very important for it to happen, because one of the ways is have the conversation and lead by example. So you cannot be telling children not to be violent and all they see you do is violence.
Yeah.
You understand? So that conversation must happen, and the exemplary leadership must also happen, where it becomes intentional that we want, it has to be intentional that we want you to understand that you don't have to be violent, you know. So that is just another angle to it, and there are several ways and things that can be explored. I just saw now that we don't use 2 minutes past the time already. We just want to keep it as short as possible, so that even when you want to play back, you know, we consider the data where you want play back. So yeah, now I know you have something to add to that. You wanted to add something?
Yeah, I wanted to, but you have actually said it all. It's just the conversation within the parents and the child, because it is what you do that will reflect in the life of your child in future. So no matter what you tell them and you do the opposite, like you've said, it's definitely not going to work, because people believe in action more. And I actually fear for the future generation when it comes to domestic violence, because so many parents now are so ignorant of so many things that they just want to hand over their children to nanny to take care of, while they just make money. And there are so many things. Let's don't forget that the way a nanny will treat your child is different from the way you lecture your child. That's when it comes to lecturing. Even teachers, they are not professionals. Nannies are not professional therapists and what have you. So it's going to get, I just pray it doesn't get to a point where it will be really difficult for parents to create time, quality time for their children, to interact with them, because that is very important. Because when you interact with them, that is when you know what is actually happening in their life. And if you fail too much in that and you lag behind a lot, it might get to a point that they don't even trust you enough to talk to you about some issues. They will rather trust their nanny or trust an outsider, and which, if that happens, man, that's going to be really terrible. But we can't go on and on and on explaining all these things, because it's a very wide topic. Yeah. And we're 4 minutes past our time, so I think we'll be rounding up now.
Yeah. We were thinking that we'll get to hear from you. You drop some messages, and we get to hear your take on this. That's our daughter behind. Now we don't pass our time, so we should.
Yeah, she's timing us.
They want to bake cake.
Yeah.
So guys, I want to say thank you very much for your time, and on Monday I'll come back again. It will be me alone, 30 minutes with me, Twitwi. We have a whole lot of things lined up from Monday to Friday. It's going to be very, very interesting from agribusiness to music business to media and advertising, you know, to the new work pattern featuring HR experts, you know, those in the agri sector, the music industry, and of course entertainment generally.
Don't worry, he's going to be settling all the disputes this week.
Okay, so guys, thank you very much for your time. As you say, for my wife, on behalf of my wife, why should I do it on your behalf when we're here? So let's say bye together.
Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you a lot.
Okay, Fumi, since you're here already, just say something.
Hi.
Okay. So we're signing out. From us to you. We love you. Join us. Don't be tired of joining us because we'll be bringing you juicy topics. So we'll see you tomorrow.
No, it's on
I'll
Monday.
see you.
Not tomorrow.
Okay,
Tomorrow is
sorry.
Sunday.
Tomorrow is
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't used to remember date again. Okay, we'll see you on Monday and I'll see you on Saturday.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.